right? This system is extremely complex. So when people say, I want to strengthen my core, and they go, well, I'm going to start doing a whole bunch of crunches, sucker can't touch this. This video is all about the core. What exactly is it, and how do we make it stronger? The core is one of the most overused terms in all of physical medicine and strength training, and the truth is that most people don't actually know what it is or how it works, and if they think they have a good idea about it, they're actually using it incorrectly and probably causing dysfunction long term. So if you want to be strong, your core is the most foundational level of who you are, and it might be much different than you think. Now most of us, when we think about the core, we think about the six-pack muscles, or if you think a little bit more functional, you may think the muscles that wrap around your body. If you think a little bit more holistic, you might think inside your body, but I'm going to break down some layers for you. At the outer layer of your core, you have the six-pack that runs right in the front. Underneath that, you have the oblique muscles. Underneath that, you have a transverse abdominis that runs all the way around. And underneath that, pushing from the inside out, you have this balloon pressuring that happens from the inside out to push against those muscles. What exactly do I mean? Well, we'll start with the outer core. When you're training your core, the concept is that you want to be able to balance your inside core with your outside core. So we'll talk about the outside core. One of your most foundational layers is a muscle called the transverse abdominis. The transverse abdominis, or the TA, wraps all the way around your midsection and holds you in like a girdle. It doesn't flex left or right. It just holds you inward. It creates inward pressure. Wraps around your body like this. Okay? It pressurizes you from the outside in. Once you get beyond that, you have a set of internal obliques, which cross both from right to left and from left to right. Now I'm going over the shoulders. These actually attach somewhere around here and go all the way down to your hips. Then you have the external obliques. Those go in the opposite direction, so I'll wrap this around my leg and go up. And these ones cross the other direction across your body, so you've got this nice crisscross action. Once you go there, you've got your six-pack muscle right in the front, and that connects right in the front, runs all the way down into the front of your pelvis, right? Once we get that, we have to move on to the back. You've got your paraspinals on your back, which go on either side of the spine. And those include things like the multifidi and a whole bunch of random names. Some are big, some are small. You've got a series of small muscles that run in between each vertebra. They're about an inch or two long. Inch or two long is being exaggerated, but they're very small. They connect between all your vertebrae. And then you've got your lats that run all the way from your shoulders all the way down to your hips on either side. Once you get done with that, you got to remember that you've got some glutes. You've got, of course, your glute max, which is the big one. So we'll take this and we'll put this on. Right? That connects. That's your glute. That connects from your butt up into your hips, and then you've got your glute medius, and that's on that side. And then you've got your glute minimus, which you put there. And then you've got a series of 6 muscles in here called your P-go-go-Qs that all connect your hips into your core and help things rotate. You've got muscles that connect through your tailbone into the groin. But you get the point, right? This system is extremely complex. So when people say, I want to strengthen my core, and they go, well, I'm going to start doing a whole bunch of crunches, sucker can't touch this. It's super complex. I'm saying this to illustrate a point. Not that you can't make your core stronger, but that the idea that you're going to do it all with doing crunches is just wrong. The idea that you're going to do any of this with just a single movement is wrong, because you've got, once you make this muscle tight, this one's going to get loose in response, and you can't physically do it all with a single movement. A lot of times the movements that we do to try to make our core strong, our core gets strong by mistake, as opposed to our core getting stronger as a direct result of what we're doing. That's the outside layer. Okay? So the deepest that most people go, unless you know the anatomy, is to look at the outside layer. Is this huge web of all these muscles that crisscross all around your body to help you bend and turn and twist, right? Your outside core. The other part that they forget is that your system is actually a really complex network of pressing from the outside in. If all these rubber bands got super tight and all of a sudden wrapped around me and pressed in really hard, you would get crushed. So there's another part to your core, which is one of the most important parts, and that is the internal pressure that gets created in your diaphragm. So while this transverse abdominis is pushing inward and mashing everything together, you also have internal pressure that's pressing out. You've got this balloon, upside down U-shaped muscle that connects from either rib like this on the inside of you. This is on the inside of you. It separates for your upper chest cavity from your abdomen. That's called your diaphragm. And when you inhale, this thing presses down and creates pressure down into your abdomen. That presses against another muscle that's called the pelvic floor, which pushes back up, creates pressure inward, and all of those react with your outside muscles. So you can see this process of strengthening your core is actually really complex, but the solution is relatively simple. There's been a big movement over the past several years in strength training to get people to breathe more or work with their diaphragm. And what I find in practice is that a lot of people have actually lost the ability to use their diaphragm because they're so busy trying to look good. You look good at the beach. Make sure I suck it up. Stand up tall. And this process is making everybody shut down so that they no longer breathe. And this diaphragm muscle, which is designed to push down into the chest cavity, down into the abdominal cavity, is no longer strong. Your internal core muscles actually get weak. You lose the ability to press out, and now you're stuck trying to squeeze in all the time in order to have a strong core and a healthy spine. And long term, it's not healthy because nobody can sustain that. So the real way that we need to work on strengthening the core is to actually work on breathing while you do movements. You can start with the process of diaphragm breathing, and I've got some videos on that, where you start to actually get the diaphragm working again, and you relearn how to inflate the abdomen so that you're working with the diaphragm and repressurizing from the inside out. Then you take those same muscles and those same breathing exercises and you move them into exercises like a plank. You should never have to hold your breath in a plank because it's supposed to be a combination of tightening from the outside and then breathing so that you can pressurize from the inside out. An old cue that we used to give everybody in training is that when you go to do a squat, make sure you squeeze your core inward. And what we find is that the strongest people in the world actually do the opposite. They actually inhale, fill their bellies, and pressurize against a belt or against their abdomen, and then squat with a nicely pressurized abdomen as opposed to a squeezed abdomen. I am now under the impression that if you have to squeeze your core in order to be able to do the exercise without it hurting, then your core is too weak for the load that you're trying to handle. In that case, you want to take some weight off the bar and try to squat with being able to breathe. Now, if you're in the 1 to 5 repetition range, which is maximal strength, then you're going to be in a range where you have to hold your breath because that's just what you do in that rep range. But if you're squatting 8 to 10, you should be able to breathe through that thing and work it pretty well. One of the other great tools that we've got available to us is the use of the RPR system, or just in general working some massage into the abdomen all the way around to allow these outside muscles to stop spasming so hard, because sometimes if you get out of balance, so your outside core gets too tight compared to the strength of your inside core, these muscles can become over tight and start to compensate and lock you down. When they start locking down, you lose the ability to be fluid and to move well and to play sport, and your risk of injury actually goes up. So remember, breathe, 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 breathe. Work your core from the inside out and from the outside in.